boomba. Boomba jumba jujumu dumba do boomba.
All right, true family, do me a favor, hit that subscribe, like, and share, and stay and watch the video until the end. It'll pay off.
Congress member Jamie Raskin is sending a major warning to those law firms that bent the knee early in the Trump regime and entered into so-called settlement agreements.
All right, true family, what's happening? Welcome back to another episode of We the People, where the people come for the truth. And I got a new video for you, so check this one out. This video is, I don't know who this dude is, but he's got his own channel on YouTube. And I kind of called it out of the blue. And he's talking about the work that Jamie Raskins is already doing, right? Sending out letters to these law firms that supposedly bent the knee to the Trump administration in its first term, right? Not let alone in its second term. So it's quite interesting that they want to know what's going on. How did they help the Trump administration? But I'm going to let him explain some of this, and let's dig into it. We'll do a little bit of a deep dive into this video.
Settlement arrangements with the Trump regime to do so-called pro bono work. And Jamie Raskin signed and sent a letter to what was once a very prestigious firm. I mean, it was like the Harvard of big law. It was called Skadden. There's a bunch of other firms like that, but Skadden was one of the elite firms. I mean, one of the top places you could work for out of law school or anywhere. And Congressmember Raskin is letting Skadden and all these law firms know, if and when Democrats take over the House of Representatives, Jamie Raskin himself, a well-known constitutional law professor and constitutional lawyer before becoming a member of Congress, that he's going to be investigating these big firms.
Now, here's the kicker. Does it make it illegal that the law firms that he's speaking about represented the Trump administration when they got in power? Is that illegal? I don't think it's illegal. I think it's illegal, though, to salt them out just because they represented the President of the United States of America. All right? Because some of us were patriots, right? It didn't matter what the label of the party that the president represented. We respected him because he was the President of the United States. And you guys threw out all that. You threw out everything to do with respect. Maybe the Trump administration should look into something about Jamie Raskins breaking law here. Allegedly, you know. He is a Congress representative. So, he does have enough power to sway things to happen. And I don't need him to sway nothing to happen my way, because I speak out about Jamie Raskins all the time, because to me, Jamie Raskins is a criminal. Absolutely. And he shouldn't be in our Congress. But he sits in a part of Maryland where he'll always get elected, because it's a bunch of damn hippies up there.
Trump may have been given absolute immunity by the Supreme Court. Raskin and others, whether it's Senator Schiff, are going to be focused on these big law firms, amongst a number of other things that Raskin's going to have in his portfolio if and when he becomes the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. Now, in this very powerful letter that Jamie Raskin put out, he said, Skadden, you entered into this settlement agreement to provide $100 million of pro bono work for the Trump regime. We want more information about how that number was derived at. We want to see your hours. What's the work that you did? Because it doesn't seem that you're doing, say, pro bono work on issues that are supposed to, help the people.
No, see, what it sounds like to me is that they want to know what the Trump administration was doing. They want to find out anything they can about the Trump administration. And see, here's the thing. When the judiciary tells them they have to testify, well, no, I guess they can plead the fifth. It's different with Anthony Fauci, right? Anthony Fauci had immunity, so he had no reason to lie. He had no reason to claim the fifth, right? Except to not make himself look like a total, complete dumbass, right? This guy right here is a moron. He doesn't realize what he's doing. Jamie Raskins is a moron. And I'm telling you, we got to get out there and vote. These are red flags that show us, right, that's the reason why the Democrat Party's not fighting the DSA. It's because they're part of the DSA. They're just the easy wing of it, right? And the DSA knew they was going to use them the whole time. The Democrats didn't think they was going to use them. I got a video, right, where the Democrats are talking about getting taxed in New York, and they say, well, they thought it was going to be just the big R's, right? Talking about Republicans. They never thought it was going to be them. But they're slowly but surely finding out, and Jamie Raskins will too, that the Democrat socialists, they're coming for you, Jamie. They're coming for your job. They don't like you. Your establishment, and you got to go, just like Dan Goldman did. They just ain't got to you yet. But your number's coming. I'm talking about getting voted out of office like Dan Goldman did. I ain't talking about violence or none of that. We don't condone and no violence here, and we don't want to commit suicide or no stuff like that. We're making a media channel and we're telling the truth about what's going on here, right? So I just want to let people know, in my eyes, Jamie Raskins is a criminal. Jamie Raskins is going against the United States government. Whether you are part of the United States government or not, you are doing everything you can to hinder the president of the United States of America. You have called him a criminal, a rapist, and everything else. Allegedly. I don't want to make a mistake and give him a way to sue me. He is a constitutional law scholar and everything.
Be an arm of the Trump regime, as they've destroyed the Department of Justice, basically being their private law firm, providing free legal work as basically part of a broader scheme to kind of capture you and to have you work for the Trump regime, or else the Trump regime is going to do things to you. And one thing that's pointed out in this letter is, in a case by shareholders against Intel brought in the Delaware Chancery Court, Intel did a deal with the United States government, Donald Trump taking over the methods and means of production, that basically gave the United States a 10%, a 9.9% ownership stake in Intel. And apparently, Skadden was doing legal work for Intel and also was having this arrangement with the Trump regime. And so in the Delaware Chancery documents, it raises a lot of red flags of, were you representing both sides in this transaction? Were you complicit in diluting, these are questions being asked, diluting the shareholders? Donald Trump wants to, brags, and he goes, look, since the United States did.
What I would ask you is what makes that a crime, right? First of all, okay, I'm not happy about the government getting into no business, but these businesses make billions of dollars off of us, bro. And the Trump administration asked them to get back to America and Americans, not to try to knock our GDP down. It's good for many things, right? Not to put in his own pocket, but for America. But because it's going to make America prosperous, they don't like it. Yeah, see, they're trying to make us a third world country, if you haven't noticed. Right? And this guy is complicit with it. He's happy with that. Right? But these people don't really realize that they're going to be part of the chain gang. Oh, yeah. They're going to be part of the chain gang. They think it's just us. That, the R's. They think it's just the R's. No. See, they don't like you either. Yeah, they don't like none of you either. Right? Because you got billionaire donors. You got all this money, APAC and all that. Oh, yeah. No. They don't like you either. They don't care about D's and R's. They care about taking control and putting people to work so they can steal the money and be prosperous. Because that's what they're going to do. Ask yourself this. Why is it that Mondani, Moron Zandani? Ask yourself why Moron just got the most money that New York's ever got. And then he's talking about $30 billion a grocery store. What kind of grocery store you building, moron? Huh? Moron? But it's cool. They're going to let it happen for now. But your time's coming to an end. Oh yeah, we're not going to let this country be destroyed, bro. Everything the forefathers stood for, you think we're going to let you spit on that? I would hope George Washington himself would come back and put his bayonet through my chest for disrespecting America that way. I would never in my life allow America to be taken by a communist. And I know I'm not the only one. It's insane to think that for so many years, our grandparents and our parents fought communists and socialists and did everything they could do to keep our country whole. And for many years, it was that way. But when President Trump became president and he seen something that nobody else was able to see. We had ideas, but nobody was really able to see how far, the British Crown still had its foot on our neck. We couldn't see it. But the Democrats could, because the Democrats worked with them. And tried to make it to where we couldn't get their foot off our neck. But see, President Trump came into power and he recognized that. He realized that. He's seen that. He's seen it all. And they don't like it. They don't like that he's seen it and that he recognized it and that he figured out a way to stop it. And now they're doing everything they can, including turn American people against the United States president. The sitting president of these United States of America. You know why the other presidents don't sit with him? Don't invite him to stuff? Don't talk to him? You know why they don't? Because they were complacent in that same plan to destroy America. And it happened little by little, bit by bit. Each president played their own part and just a little bit more. Push it just a little bit further. But then wait, we're going to elect a black guy and he'll take it all the way. And he took it far enough to socialism that made it comfortable enough to now you have people like moron Zandami that's now taking office. Never in a million years did I think a communist would be in our government. What are we doing?
The value went up. You diluted the shareholders. I mean, you took a stake where that money could otherwise have been dividended out or been, given to, existing shareholders. You diluted them by giving the stake to the government, and it's unclear what you're even doing with it, where that money's going. How are you holding 10% of Intel? And you presume that the stock went up because of you, but what long-term issues have you compromised? And would the stock have gone up anyway at the time? And now that we're seeing the market hit more of a turbulent time, is this the right way to run Intel, by having the government take over Intel? And so there are these questions. You're just, are you?
See, here's them word games again. The government running Intel. The government only has 10% stake that Intel donated to America, not to President Trump. President Trump just orchestrated it and made it happen, right? But the 10% goes to America. That don't mean that the government runs Intel now. See, that's the word games you guys play. That's why all you guys that watch my video, you need to understand that first and foremost. Words are weapons when it comes to the Democrats. They like to use words as weapons. They use words so they can twist them on you. You understand? You gotta be careful with that. And I'm quite sure a lot of you already understand that. You've been watching my videos for a while now. You most likely understand that by now, right? That we have to be careful with the Democrats because they like to play with them little semantics, right? No. See, the government won't be running Intel. If that was the case, they'd already be running Intel. Moron.
these Trump-related deals. And I think the broader point is these firms, if they thought that they were buying Trump's silence, by the way, they really aren't, because they're under his thumb every step of the way. Once you make a deal like that with Trump, he doesn't let up. But I think Raskin and others are letting them know, oh, no. You've bought yourself a future when we're in control of accountability, and you have different accountability structures than sadly the Supreme Court has given Donald Trump, but we're focused on you. So I think that's part of it as well. I want to call in Harry Littman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds Substack. And Harry, that Intel deal, 10% being taken away, it's fascinating that you go into this letter and they talk about how Skadden advised Intel on the transaction, a representation that the complaint correctly notes presents a host of conflicts given Skadden's agreement. I mean, the biggest, most glaring conflict, if you got this question wrong on your professional responsibility test, you should fail that one.
And many others. Look, this is what you and I did another discussion about Jeffrey Epstein and Raskin serving notice. This is Raskin saying again, the cavalry is coming and you guys best be ready. And we've adverted different times to internal debates within the Democratic Party or Democratic members in Congress about how aggressive to be in terms of accountability, backward looking, forward looking. This is one very powerful Democrat who's going to be at the head of a committee. And we've seen over the last few years how sort of dictatorial Republican leaders can be. He's going to be at the head and he is definitely looking for accountability. And this is actually, they have every right to do it. They're just calling in private citizens, sure, but to find out what the hell happened with the government these last few years. Remember, Trump comes out of the box like February, and this was a whole series of moves that left many of us, I would count me there, reeling like, how the hell, oh my God, he is trying to leverage his power to control universities and law firms and, all kinds of big business. And can he get away with that shit? Well, for a couple years, nobody was there to stop him, but it's not at all clear. And
Let's make that right clear, right fast, right? So if you listen to the guy, it's the fact that the Trump administration shut down the foothold that the Democrats had on everybody's neck, right? Like, literally, they were in every institution, right? And they implanted their Marxist ideology, right? And all you got to do is just read and watch how they've changed over the years. You see it on social media all the time. It's not hard to see. The one thing that stayed consistent is the Republicans. Now, I'm not saying the Republicans are amazing, right? But at least they believe in holding quorum. At least they believe in holding the institution of the Constitution. Not the institution. At least they believe in the Constitution. Upholding the Constitution. Right? Pay attention to it. They do it all the time. They don't like to break tradition. The filibuster is a tradition. They are doing everything in their power to not but break the filibuster. Although the Democrats say when they get power, it's gone immediately. The filibuster is gone. Because they're going to do everything they can to get what they got to get. And the filibuster will be one thing that's in their way. And they ain't going to let it happen. The Republicans, on the other hand, can pass the Save America Act right now. Right now. Right now, if they break the filibuster. But John Thune is not a leader. He is the award winner of the Shrinking Rhino Nutsack Award. Yeah. John Thune is a wiener. No other way to put it. He's a straight cup. I don't care if he works out or not. How does Pat Gray say it?
John Thune looks like a freak dog.
I don't care what he says. John Thune is a wiener. He's a freaking meatball. Coward. He's a coward. Just like Jamie Raskins is a coward. part of the democratic process to destroy America. And it is our duty to vote to fix that before they gain so much power that our vote doesn't matter anymore. That's the whole reason why they don't want the SAVE Act pushed through. They don't, if that SAVE Act is pushed through right now, they're not going to get elected in. And they know it. Oh, they know it. They're planning on those ballots to be in there. They're planning on it. You heard what Gavin Newsom said. This is a break the glass moment. We only break the glass in emergency situations. They already did it with Karen Bass. The only problem is they got caught. See, if I was President Trump, I would put ICE at all the polling spots. All of them. Oh yeah. And if you look like you're Spanish or of another descent other than America, you better have your green card with you. If not, you're out of here. See you when we see you. And don't be surprised if he doesn't do it.
This quite a bit within the law industries, within these individual firms. The people who kind of bent the knee and signed on have had a real fallout from it within their firms, people leaving, a kind of general disapprobation within the legal industry. They thought they kind of had to do it, and it's true. Trump was, coming down heavy, but the other firms who hung tough, I think it turns out, are going to have served themselves and their clients better. And we need to know sort of what happened, because I'll tell you one thing I do not think that happened. I don't think, as you say, once they were in the thrall to Trump, it never stopped. And I very much doubt there was some kind of deep
Sir, I'm going to need a urinalysis.
chapter and verse of you'll do this, you'll do that. There was these vague terms, $100 million of pro bono services, but not to liberal causes or whatever they were trying to say and execute. What the hell went on? What did it mean? What did it mean to bend the knee? There was a fundamental corruption and kind of pressure campaign against really important institutions in American life. And Jamie Raskin is saying, we're going to find out what happened. I think the odds of embarrassment for the Scaddons of the world are high, but this is part and parcel of the cleanup from Donald Trump. How did he get away with it? What did he get away with? Were there either like legal corners cut or just something that did, created a lot of ethical or other problems for these law firms? What did they agree to? We do not know that story yet because they just came out of the box, throwing punches and forcing some institutions to genuflect. Others stood their ground. And look, it was a hard position from that pressure campaign for anybody based on Trump, but the country still doesn't know the story, and the Judiciary Committee has the right to try to unearth it. What the hell did this president do to not just the government, but really important civic institutions like law firms, like universities? And that was a big part of the whole Project 2025. And Raskin and others are saying, there's a big story to be uncovered and written here. And if we get the gavel, it's ours to uncover.
Those law firms, their chairs and their top partners, they don't want to be at these hearings under oath. I mean, when I think back to, you remember those steroid hearings in the early, was that the 2000s or the late 90s with Mark McGuire and this person and that person? You're going to have, in my opinion, the top partners at these firms, Harry, probably invoking the fifth. And these are people, they know it's coming too. And so when you're the chair of Skadden, when you're the chair of, I can go on and list these firms, in the back of your mind, 2 years, 3 years, there's going to be a day where you're sitting there across from Jamie Raskin when you want to be in legacy mode, and you're going to be there with your kids and your grandkids watching you, and you're going to be invoking the fifth. And everything you've done your entire legal career, the grades you got in college, the law school you went to, the clerkship that you had, you will be remembered by that scene, and that will be the shame you will take to your grave. Harry, anything else you want to say?
And that right there should tell you everything you want to know. You're going to be invoking the fifth while your grandkids and your kids are sitting there watching you. You see? You see? I'm trying to tell you, you better take the warning while it's there, because if you make the mistake and let them back in, you may never get them back out. So I want to remind you of one more thing about these law firms. These are the law firms that President Trump has used to undermine everything that the Democrats put together with the Rhino Republicans over decades and decades of work to subvert the will of the American people and diminish the vote of the American people. And now we have a socialist party that has turned communist, that is trying to overtake control of our government. And then they're looking to never lose power again. So they're looking to do whatever they got to do to take power, and whatever they got to do to never lose power again. So they're mad. Let me tell you one of the reasons why they're mad. USAID. The DNC had to ask their bill people to not send no bills until after the midterms. They had put their building up for collateral. They are broke. Do you know why they're broke? Because they are not able to steal all of the American people's money anymore. You see, that's why they're broke. So, something to think about. They want all that back, including your money. They want that back so they can fund their transgender agenda, their illegal immigration agenda, right? Do you like being American? That's what I ask you. Do you love being American? Because if you love America and you know America's the greatest nation on earth, then you better get out there and vote. And you better get out there and vote Republican in order to save this nation. Because if you vote Democrat, our nation's in trouble. The American way of life is in trouble. People like Jamie Raskins are paid by lobbyists like Alex Soros and George Soros to make this happen. Good day to you. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I just wanted to fill you in on a little bit of the obvious that's not also reported widely in the mainstream media. God bless each and every one of you, man. And this is just a mission to save America for Americans. So our children had the same quality of life, if not better, that we grew up with. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you in the next one, True Family. We the people, where the people come for the truth. I'm out.